Hey everybody, little different intro today. We're outside because it's beautiful out. And why not, right? So we're going to do factoring grouping and hold on tight. Here we go. All right, everybody, we're going to work on section 8-8 today. It's factoring by grouping. I'm sitting outside on my deck because it's beautiful out and, well, because I can record on my deck as easily as in my house. So, first and foremost, what you should observe here is that we're factoring a polynomial, but this polynomial has 4 terms, which is one more than we're used to working with. So we're going to go ahead and, well, we're going to do it the same way we've done it before. I'm going to use the area model, and I have it set up already. So my first term is going to go in the 20r cubed spot, right? First term goes here, and the last term goes here. And now the only difference is normally we have one value in the middle because we're used to having a trinomial, but we have 2 values and we have 2 different spaces to put them. So let's put them in. I'm going to put 8r squared in that spot, and the 15r goes here. And let's clean this up a little bit. Now, by the way, while I'm erasing, these are completely my choices, right? To put the 8r squared and the 15r in the bottom left and the upper right, that was my choice. I felt like doing that, so that's what I did. Now let's see what happens. I'm going to focus on, let's get this guy. I'm going to focus on the column here. All right, I'm going to overdo it a little bit. I'm going to focus on the column because I'm going to try to think about what is in common between 20r cubed and 8r squared. And when I think about the numbers 20 and 8, they both have a 4 in common, because 4 times 5 and 4 times 2 equal 20 and 8. And they both have an r squared. One of them has an r cubed, but they both have at least an r squared. Now, as soon as that's done, what I'm now going to do is look at this as kind of a reverse L shape. And what I'm going to try to think of is what number times 4r squared equals 20r cubed. Because that's what we do, right? We take these numbers on the outside and we take this one and we multiply them together to give us our inside. So what number times 4r squared is 20r to the third? Well, I need a 5 and I need an extra r. All right? So that's done. Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight a little bit more. I'm now going to highlight a longer L shape. And you might imagine that we're going to do the same idea. This times this equals this. So what goes in that missing space? Well, 4 times something equals 8, so 2. And r squared times nothing equals r squared, so I'm done. I have 5 and I have 5r in this spot, and I have a 2 here. All right, I have one more space to fill in, so now I'm going to go this way. All right, always kind of a funky L shape. And you could probably guess. I'm going to go this one times this one equals this one. So what times 5r equals 15r, and I need a 3, because 3 times 5r is 15r. And now all my spaces are filled in. I should double check that I don't have any GCFs. 4 and 3 don't have anything in common. 5 and 2 don't have anything in common, and there's no common r's here or here. So I have no GCFs that I missed. So now I should have my answer. 4r squared plus 3, that comes from the top. And from the left, 5r plus 2. And that should be my factored form. I'm going to double check it. I've got 20r cubed. I've got, 8r squared. I've got 15r. And I've got 6. And that looks like it matches up with what I started with. So yeah, so this guy right here is my factored form. Now, it's worth mentioning that if I had chosen to do it slightly differently, remember how I put those numbers in where I felt like putting them, you might have thought I was being some sort of weird, aggressive, well, he says it, so we have to do it. If I had put them in the opposite location, look, I'm going to leave the answer there, but let's go ahead and do all of the same stuff again. I would probably still look at this first column. I'm not going to do all the highlighting this time, but I'd look at the first column and I'd get 5 with an r in common. And then I'd be looking at the space here. So the space there would be 4 times 5 is 20. R squared times r is r cubed. Then I'd be looking at this space, and I'd get a 3. And that's all I would need there. And then I would look at this space, and I'd think 4 times what equals 8. And r squared times what equals r squared. So I'd have and look at it, right? So the top value, let's get rid of some of the highlighting here. the top value, 5r and 2, is 5r and 2, and the left, 4r squared and 3, 4r squared and 3. So even if I did it differently, I still would have gotten the same answer. So that answer works either way, and you now know that you have the flexibility to place that second and third term wherever you feel like placing it. Those of you that are advanced users might go, wait a second, maybe I don't need this area model at all, and I suppose you could argue that you don't. Look at this first pair of numbers and look for a GCF. 20 and 8 have a GCF of 4, and the r cubed and r squared have r squared as a GCF. And let's see, 5r plus 2 is what's left over there. And now look at this piece. What do I have in common? I have 15 and 6 have a 3 in common, and 5r plus 2. And now I want you to look at this. This is kind of cool. All right, look at, I'll grab a different color here. Oh, wrong tool. Here's my different color. And look at this thing. You see anything in common? Sure you do. You see 5r plus 2 because it's in common. It shows up in both sides. So factor that out, and what's left over? 4r squared, that's this piece, and plus 3. And check it out, right? If you use this and drag it up near our other answer, look at that. It's the same exact answer. I know left and right is different, but it's the same exact answer. So for those of you that want to try it differently, you can. I'm going to go ahead and say that this would be a good spot to pause and try this one, and then come back to me when you're ready. So you could try this using the area model or try it using that technique I just did with the GCF, but give it a try and then come back and check it out with me. All right, if you're back and you tried this, then you should have some success, hopefully, with what answer I got. Quick note here, might have been a challenge for some. You got to pull a GCF out of this. And that's something that you always have to keep in mind. So I'm not going to spoon feed you 10 different problems and finally work our way into GCFs. Just start finding GCFs right off the bat, pull those out, and then take your remainder, and that's what you populate the area model with. So that is factoring with grouping. I'm going to have you do a few of these tonight and then more of them next time, and we're going to move on. All right, so good luck, and hopefully you'll be just fine.